What's up everybody, CHM Carnivorous here, and I'm actually making a video I wasn't planning on making, but I am starting to see a growing trend in the Nepenthes hobby on different social media sites that worries me greatly. I want to show you how to avoid this trend, how to avoid not doing this. It is a surefire way that you're going to kill your Nepenthes. So stick around. I hope you enjoy the video. It's going to be a shorter one, but it is very, very important. What's up everybody? As I said in the intro, I did not plan on making this video. I was going to wait a few more days before I made my next round in that series, but I'm starting to see a growing trend that's got me very, very concerned when it comes to Nepenthes hobby. There's a lot of growers out there that I'm seeing on the social media, different platforms, that don't understand what the type of need a Nepenthes has, especially specifically when it comes to watering. And I'm seeing a lot of really bad habits that will not necessarily show any repercussions at first, but it is a surefire way to kill your plant. And so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about the proper way to water your plants, specifically what the trend that I'm seeing in the hobby, explain why you do not want to do that, and explain what the repercussions will be, and then I'll explain how to properly water your plants. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. What I am starting to see is a lot of growers assuming that Nepenthes have the same watering needs as other carnivorous plants, cephalotus, Venus flytraps, or Dionea, Drosera, capensis, or any kind of Drosera. These plants are bog plants, and they like to have their feet wet. They like to have water on their feet. Nepenthes are, for the most part, epiphytic or lithophytes. They do not, I repeat, they do not want their feet wet. There are a couple of exceptions. I'm going to talk through that with you on this video of when it is okay to do that and for about how long of a period, and then some other options other than the obvious that we'll get into. So first and foremost, what is okay as far as watering your Nepenthes? Now, depending on the species or the hybrid you have, a top water is good. And you just want to get you one of these containers here, and you want to spray down the plants and also provide some sort of ambient humidity, which we'll talk about a little later. Now, I've talked about in multiple videos about the media needs to be moist, but not soaking wet. Nepenthes roots are very, very, very fine, almost like hair. Depending on the size of the plant, they will be thicker, of course. And so they will, once they start to rot, it's game over. They will rot very, very quickly, and your plant will surely die. So what I like to do is just give my plants a good top watering, just like this, right? Nothing to it really. You just want to make sure that the soil is wet. Now, what I also like to do is stick my finger in the soil and make sure that it is saturated through. Saturating not necessarily meaning soaked, but saturating meaning that the media below is wet. You can also do the pot trick where you lift up the pot and you feel how heavy it is. And then if you have pots that have holes in it, go ahead and put your finger in there a little bit further down to make sure that the water is evenly spread. Now, what I am seeing growers do is that they are leaving their Nepenthes sitting in water. You do not ever want to do that except for one circumstance, which I'll talk about in a minute. So in addition to top watering, depending on your hybrid, especially the Rob Cantley's, you want to avoid the leaves. Most Nepenthes do just fine. As a matter of fact, they enjoy having their leaves wet. There are a few like the Raja, the Rob Cantley, the Peltatas that do not necessarily or do not want their leaves wet at all. And so what you can do is continue to top water. Just make sure that you get around the plant. I try to avoid the base of the plant as much as I can because you don't want a lot of water sitting on the base. That is prone to root rot or stem rot, and it can also cause bacteria and mold to grow there. This sounds very complicated, but it is not. So just give it a nice spray around the base of the plant, and that way you ensure that you're getting proper water there. Now, furthermore, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear, my neighbors are outside mowing. I'm in my grow tent in my shed outside. Now, furthermore, there are a couple reasons why, or a couple ways rather, that you can in fact bottom water your Nepenthes, and I'll explain that to you. First and foremost, if you're going on vacation, it is okay for a very, very short period of time to leave your plants with sitting in a little bit of water, up to about an inch of the pot. Now, the reason why you want to do that is you're not going to be around to water them, and so that will be okay. It'll dry up after a couple days, and they will be fine. That is the only circumstance that you want to leave your Nepenthes sitting in water. The funny thing about these plants is you won't notice anything at first. Everything will seem like it's going very well, and then all of a sudden, that quick, your plant will turn root rot and it will die very, very fast. And unfortunately, I've only been able to save one from that with a little trick. Again, not scientifically proven or anything. What I did was I took my plant, put it in dried peat moss in a pot, and it absorbed all of that water out of those roots. The plant was in a very, very bad shape, but it did survive, and it is now thriving. I don't recommend that you ever use that as a backup plan. Just water properly, and then you won't have to do that. Okay, so the other option that you can do, and what is a far better one, is if you're going on vacation, is you can get these soaker mats, and you put those mats down, and those mats can be wet, and what that will do is the sphagnum moss will wick that water up from the mat without the actual plant sitting in water, and you'll be good there. Now, there's a couple other ways you can do it. Bergen Water Gardens does this with their plants, is they actually have these buckets, these real big troughs, and the plants will sit on pots out of the water, but there will be water at the base, and so that water, through the process of whatever it's called, evaporation, will evaporate and sort of wick into those plants. For the most part, though, if you are home with your plants, you want to make sure that you do top water, and that's the best way for them. Now, here's another tip for you. If your plant is larger, these plants, the way their leaves are shaped for the most part, are done so to draw water away from their base because they're more epiphytic. So if you have a larger plant and you do top water, I encourage you to check the soil often underneath the leaves to make sure you're actually getting water. A lot of growers will have misting systems, which I highly recommend. I do not currently have one because I like to sort of be with them and water them. But the problem with the misting system is if you do have larger leaves with the paddle sort of shape, they're going to draw water away from the base, and you'll unknowingly dry out your plant without even wanting to. So it's always a good idea to spot check those and make sure they're good. Now, one thing you can do, it is okay to saturate the soil from time to time. And so what I like to do is do the top water, right? Do that for a few weeks. Every once in a while, I'll give it a really good soaking, and I'll make sure that the water is saturated through so that water is dripping from the bottom of the pot. You do not want to do that very often. Some people do it once a week. Some people do it once every couple weeks. And it's up to you to decide. So I just wanted to make this video really quick because I'm seeing that growing trend. I don't want others to see that on the different social media platforms and think that that's what they should be doing. It won't show any signs at first, but your plants will almost assuredly die if you keep them sitting in water. They are not like other carnivorous plants. They do not want to be sitting in water. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available either here or Instagram to answer any questions that you have. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. See you soon.